Henry Kane, also known as Tommy Kane, was a promising NFL player, but his career was cut short due to his crimes. His crimes were not simply ordinary crimes, but instead were ones that left the world shocked. Tommy Kane was born on January 14, 1964 in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and is of Black Nova Scotian descent. Since his teenage years, he was very fond of football and managed to get a football scholarship to Syracuse University. At Syracuse, he built his name as one of the best footballers there at the time, which eventually led him to the NFL. Kane was a third-round draft pick in 1988. Kane played for the Seattle Seahawks from 1988 to 1992, when his season ended early due to ankle and knee injuries. The Seahawks cut him during training camp in the following year. This became the end of his NFL career. Tommy Kane played 5 seasons for the Seahawks. He had 142 catches for 2,034 yards and scored 9 touchdowns. Later on, Kane moved to the Canadian Football League. He played 5 games for the Toronto Argonauts in 1994. At the end of his career, combining NFL and Canadian Football League, he had 152 passes for 2,259 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. At the end of his pro career, Kane volunteered at youth football camps, sponsored by Montreal's West End Sports Association, which he had attended as a youth. He donated a year's salary to the center. His career was a very brief one, but on the contrary, his criminal history was a never-ending one. In 1988, while at Syracuse University, Kane was arrested for assaulting a police officer after the officer attempted to have his illegally parked car towed. He was charged with second-degree assault, second-degree obstructing governmental administration, and resisting arrest. He was subsequently sentenced to community service. Then came the murder of Tamara Shaikh, which horrified the world. Tamara Shaikh grew up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. She lived with her mom, sister, and 2 brothers in a traditional Trinidadian home. Tamara met Tommy Kane in their small town. While Tommy was in Seattle, Tamara worked as a bank teller and eventually as a manager at a bank in Montreal. She traveled back and forth to be with Tommy. 3 years into their relationship, Tamara became pregnant with their first child, a son. They were both very happy, but it didn't stop Tommy from seeing other women. He cheated on her multiple times regardless of her being pregnant at the time. Since his football career was over, they had to move into Tamara's mother's home due to financial issues. Tommy tried other careers such as volunteering as a coach at the Montreal West End Sports Association and as a sports marketing manager at a nutritional supplements company. He was unmotivated to work, and he soon hit the party scene hard. This is where all the trouble began, and eventually led him to murder his own wife. The area where both Tommy and Tamara grew up was known for drug activity, mostly cocaine. Tommy began using it almost every day. Tamara had enough of it. She was tired of his drug addiction, and the couple split after 4 years of marriage. Tommy moved into a condo, and Tamara began to date other people. Tommy heard the rumors and began to stalk Tamara. He would call her and show up at her home very early in the morning. Tamara refused to see him, and he spiraled into a drug-fueled depression. In 2003, Tommy checked himself into a psych ward. He was released only 5 weeks later and moved in with his mom. His mom was very concerned and said that Tommy would walk around and talk to himself. She contacted Tamara to stage an intervention. She believed Tamara was the only one who could talk him into going to a detox program. Tamara eventually agreed, and the intervention was planned for the last day of November. However, instead of things going towards improvement, they worsened. On November 30th, 2003, Tamara and a friend from church went to Tommy's mom's home in LaSalle, Quebec. Tommy became very angry when he saw Tamara. The friend saw Tommy pull Tamara by her hair, abuse her verbally, slap her, and heard Tamara screaming for her life. Tommy smashed her face into the floor and grabbed a knife. The friend was able to grab the knife away from Tommy. However, he grabbed a second one and stabbed Tamara in the throat. Tamara died in the arms of her friend. Tommy Kane was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Their children were taken in by Tamara's sister. At his trial, Tommy's violence was revealed, as back in the old days when he was at Syracuse, he got into the officer's face and beat them. This case was brought back at the trial to show that he has had a history of being violent in the past as well. Tommy pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison. In 2010, Quebec Judge Clement Gascon ordered Kane to pay damages of $590,000 to Tamara Sheikh's family. $125,000 was awarded to each of Kane and Sheikh's 4 children, and $90,000 to Tamara's sister, Ava Sheikh, who had gained legal custody of the children after Tamara's murder. In late 2015, the Canadian Parole Board approved Kane for 6 months of day parole while he continued to serve his 18-year sentence. In 2016, he was granted release, but was later rearrested after he refused to take part in a urine test and admitted he used cocaine, a violation of the conditions imposed on him when he was granted the statutory release. The terms included that he was not to consume drugs, and he was to avoid drinking establishments, follow psychological counseling, and report any relationships he has with women. The conditions related to alcohol and cocaine consumption are significant in Kane's case because his drug abuse was determined to have played a role in what happened when he killed Sheikh. He was then released again, as long as he agreed to an alcohol abuse treatment program. The life of Tommy Kane should be a reminder for the rest of us about the dangers of drug abuse. It not only makes us lose control of our bodies, but our minds too. He could have had a promising career, but instead went astray and committed horrendous crimes, which became the end of him. As we reach the end of the video, make sure to subscribe in order to get more such videos on your feed. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you soon.